Moonrise Kingdom. Moonrise Kingdom was released in 2012 and is directed by Wes Anderson and stars Joel Gilman, Kara Hayat, with Edward Norton, Jason Schwartzman, Tilda Swinton, Bob Balaban, Bill Murray, Frances McDormand, Harvey Keitel, and Bruce Willis. And basically, the film follows Joel Gilman and Kara Hayat's characters, two young, odd children who decide to go and run away together. And when they run away together, they start to fall in love with one another. But at the same time, they get this big search party from the town where these two children have come from, trying to find these two children and trying to find where they've gone. And basically, long story short, the search party finds these two children and ultimately separate them. And these two children are played by Joel Gilman and Kara Hayat. But these two odd children say they do whatever they can to get back to each other no matter what. So basically, long story short, they do, and they end up running away a second time. But the second time they run away, a lot more complications start to occur as they try and get married, and at the same time though, there's a big storm approaching the island. And that's basically the main plot of the film. At the same time though, you got to get some side characters in there, some other subplots in there. For example, you get the side character played by Edward Norton in the film, who plays the scout chief, who's quite close to Joel Gilman's character. At the same time though, you get Bill Murray and Frances McDormand's character, who play the mother and father of Kara Hayat's character. And at the same time though, you also get Tilda Swinton's character, who plays someone who's literally called social service in the film. He wants to take Joel Gilman's character away. And at the same time though, you also get Bruce Willis' character in the film, who plays a police officer in the town where this is all taking place. But the main plot of the film was around Joel Gilman and Kara Hayat's character, with two young, odd children who start to run away together and end up falling in love. But as the story unravels, a lot of complications start to occur. And that's basically the plot of Moonrise Kingdom. And honestly, I don't love this film, I must admit. I don't love this film. I actually think it's one of the weakest Wes Anderson films I've seen. Saying that though, I do still think the film has a lot of things going for it, and I think it's a really fun and enjoyable, charming Wes Anderson film. I do like this film for the most part, but I must admit, I do think it has one big problem, and my big problem to this film is that there's no big emotional punch. Now, in my opinion, the best Wes Anderson films are films like, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, or The Darjeeling Limited, or, Rushmore, films which have that big emotional punch, whether it's in the third act of the film or just in the film in a whole, whether it has that big emotional punch where you just kind of sit there and go, wow, I didn't see that coming, because you've had so much enjoyment with the film, and then when that big emotional punch comes, you're just like, wow, I didn't see that coming, but actually, it works so well, hence why, I like The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou so much. Get the film in the third act elevated to another level because of the big emotional punch in that film, and the same with The Darjeeling Limited. Actually, they're saying that The Darjeeling Limited had like loads of big emotional punches, and at the same time though, so does Rushmore. But the thing is though, I never felt that in Moonrise Kingdom, and that's not to say that aren't some emotional scenes in there. For example, there is this emotional scene between Joel Gilman's character and Bruce Willis' character, where Joel Gilman's character is talking about how his parents died, he had to go to an orphanage, and how his foster parents don't want to take care of him anymore. And it is an emotional scene that, and you do feel something for the character that you follow in the film, but at the same time though, there's no big emotional punch in this film that literally made me go, wow, I didn't see that coming, and that was so unique, and that's the thing I'm going to remember from this film, because I think the film suffered from that. I think, in my opinion, that's what makes it one of the weakest Anderson films. It doesn't have that big emotional punch, like say The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou does, or say like Rushmore does, or say, like The Darjeeling Limited does. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely love The Darjeeling Limited, because it has those emotional punches, and at the same time, it's so much fun to watch. I never felt that way with Moonrise Kingdom. Don't get me wrong, it is fun to watch. I'm going to talk about that very shortly in this review. But at the same time though, there's no big emotional punch which I feel this film needed to take me to that another level of the film, to take me to that next level of my liking of the film. Saying that though, I do still like the film. I think the film has a lot of things going for it. And in the end, I think it's a fun and charming Wes Anderson film, which it tells this great story of adolescent love in the best way possible, in my opinion. Like, in the end, this is a Wes Anderson romance. It's not your typical romance film, like when you have two characters in the room to go like, I want to be with you but I can't, and something like that, which is just so cringeworthy and cheesy. I know those, romance films can work. This is a Wes Anderson romance, and it's told in the best way possible. Like, I don't think if this wasn't a Wes Anderson film, I don't think it would work for me, because the fact is, it is Wes Anderson film, and you have his own like quirkiest uniqueness on this film, and it makes it work so much more. Like, in the end, it's a story about adolescent love. It's a story about two kids falling in love with each other. And when I sat down to watch the film for the first time, I saw the film twice now, by the way. But when I sat down to watch the film for the first time, I was a bit put off by the fact that it was a story about two kids that fall in love. But actually, when you watch the film, it's really enjoyable and it's really believable because of Wes Anderson's hands all over the film, and because of the lead two performances from Joel Gilman and Kara Hayat, which just works so well in the film as well. And I think just all that to give, Wes Anderson's direction, the lead two performances, just make the film so much more enjoyable, so much more believable, and so much more fun to watch as well. It's a really charming film. At the same time, and that's also down to the supporting performance in the film. Like, there's so many fun and supporting performances in the film, which just kind of pop on like, oh my god, that's your famous actor, oh my god, there's another famous actor, there's another famous actor, there's another famous actor, and that's what's so good. You get that with a lot of Wes Anderson films. I remember the first time I watched The Grand Budapest Hotel a couple of years back, 5 years ago or so. I just remember, you know, there were loads of actors popping up and out there. I was like, oh my god, that's someone famous. Okay, that's someone famous. Okay, that's someone famous. And you get that same with Moonrise Kingdom. And the thing is, though, it does have that feel like the Grand Budapest, by the way. Like, I really do enjoy it the more the film progresses. That's kind of how I feel about Moonrise Kingdom. Like I said, characters played by famous actors popping out of the film, and they're just so much fun to watch. Like I said, Edward Norton's in the film, and he plays the scout chief, who's quite close to Joel Gilman's character, and he's quite funny to watch in the film. At the same time, though, Jason Schwartzman, he pops up in the third act of the film, and he's in a really funny scene. Like, there's one scene in particular where he's meant to be the person who, like, initiating the wedding scene, you know, Joel Gilman and Kyle Hayat's character, and he just says, like, are you sure you want to get married? No, really think about it. Are you sure you want to get married? No, just really think about it. Are you sure you want to get married? Just, no, you're not listening to me. Are you sure you really want to get married? And it's really, really funny, because in the end, that scene's all about two kids getting married. But the thing is, though, Jason Schwartzman's character just plays it so well, just asking, are you sure you really want to get married? And that's a really good scene in the film. At the same time, though, Harvey Keitel shows up in the third act of the film, and he plays the scout chief as well, and there's a really funny scene with him and Edward Norton in the film. And at the same time, though, Bill Murray and Frances McDormand are great in the film. I really enjoy watching the performances, because they play two characters in a relationship together, and they're kind of having like a failing marriage. It's implied in the film that Frances McDormand's character having an affair with Bruce Willis' character, and basically Bill Murray's character and Frances McDormand's character, the relationship is crumbling down, but it is really enjoyable to watch, and I really enjoyed those two performances in the film, particularly when he played the mother and father Kyle Hayat's character, a character who runs away, and they play those characters so well. I always like seeing Bill Murray in these Wes Anderson films, because he basically plays the same character in all these Wes Anderson films, but he plays them so well and so enjoyable to watch. You like most of the other Wes Anderson performances, like in, say, Rushmore, or in, say, you know, Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. He's quite, you know, depressed, but at the same time charming, he's really fun to watch. And at the same time, though, that's the same which can be said about Bruce Willis in the film. Like, my favourite performance in this film is from Bruce Willis, because Bruce Willis doesn't really do films like this. You know, he does films like Die Hard and just big action films. I mean, as much as I do love Die Hard, I think Die Hard's a fantastic film. As much as I do love that film, he does a lot of films like Die Hard, where he basically plays the same character. And the thing is, though, in this film, he's not playing the same character. He's playing someone who kind of gives a similar performance to Bill Murray in the film, which is kind of depressed but kind of charming to watch. And I really enjoyed his performance, and I really enjoyed the way Bruce Willis played that character. It was so much fun to watch, just him in a different role in the film. At the same time, we also get Tilda Swinton in the film, who literally plays someone called Social Services, and she's funny in the film. At the same time, there's so many other actors that just popping in and out of the film. There's also Bob Balaban, who pops in and out of the film, who tells us about the storm that's approaching the town where all these events are taking place, and he's really funny to watch, and I really like seeing him in there. And you know, so many characters just popping in and out there, which are really, really fun to watch. And also, at the same time, though, the third act of the film is just so much fun as well. Like, the third act of the film was like proper Wes Anderson. That was what I wanted from this film. Like, it was like the big payoff was the third act of the film. I was enjoying it so much. Like, that's not to say the first two acts of the film are bad. That's not what I'm saying. But when you got to the third act of the film, it was like the big payoff, because you're enjoying yourself like quite a bit in the first act of the film, and then you get to the third act of the film, and I was like, okay, this is really, really fun, because a lot of things were happening, and it was just done in a really fun way, and all these characters came to come together, like Bill Murray, Frances McDormand, Edward Norton, you know, so on and so on and so on, Bruce Willis and Tilda Swinton, they all just come together in the third act of the film, and it's so enjoyable to watch, and I really enjoyed the third act of the film. I just kind of started thinking, that's a classic Wes Anderson that I want from this film. And even so, yes, there was no big emotional punch in the third act of the film, it was still so much fun to watch, and I think that's the way I set the film altogether. It's a really fun and really charming Wes Anderson film in the end. It's really wonderful to watch, because in the end, it's a story about adolescent love, but it's told in a Wes Anderson way. And if you've seen a Wes Anderson film before, you know what I mean there. It's quite quirky, it's like postmodern, you know. Like I said before, my previous Wes Anderson film reviews, you know, you kind of know it's almost like the camera knows where the story's gone before the characters actually do, and I really like that about it. And that's kind of what makes the film so much fun to watch. I think if this film was directed by someone who wasn't Wes Anderson, I don't think it would have worked. In the end, you have this Wes Anderson charming feel to this film, which just makes it work, and at the same time, that's also accompanied by the fantastic score by Alexander Desplat film, which works really well. Like, I really like Alexander Desplat's score for the film, and at the same time, though, you know, it's just enjoyable to watch in the end. It's a really fun film, and even so, I do have my one big problem with it, which just kind of, you know, decreased my level of liking for the film, more than, you know, some of the other Wes Anderson films that I've previously talked about on this channel. Even so, I do have my one, you know, slight problem with the film, that it doesn't have that emotional punch, which I think the best Wes Anderson films do. Saying that, though, I still think it's a really fun and really charming film, and I've seen it twice now, and I enjoyed it so much both times. In fact, the second time, I even enjoyed it more, because obviously, you know, where the story's going, you know, where the characters doing everything, and I found that bit more enjoyment in it. Actually, watching it, you know, last night for a second time, I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed where the story is going. And even so, I don't personally think it's one of the Wes Anderson's best films. I still think it's really fun to watch, and it is just one of those films where you just kind of smile through it, and you go along with this story between these two children, these two odd children who don't really fit in their life, and you watch these two characters who are very odd, but at the same time they're very similar, and you watch them in a way it's given. It's this really fun and charming story, and that's what I like about it. And in the end, I think it's really fun to watch. I think it's really enjoyable, and I think it's really charming as well. And I really enjoy watching Moonrise Kingdom. Yes, it's not perfect, and personally, it's not one of my favourite Wes Anderson films. But saying that, though, I still really enjoyed it, and I particularly enjoyed the third act of the film. boy, that was so enjoyable to watch. And so, all in all, I'm gonna say that Moonrise Kingdom, I'm gonna say that it's a 7.7 out of 10. You know, I really enjoy this film. I mean, it's not forever, and that's fine. I can see why some people might dislike this film. I can see why some people might just think this film's fine and nothing particularly special. Personally, I really enjoy it, and even so, I do think it's one of Wes Anderson's weaker films. That's saying something, because I still think this film has a lot of things going for it. Like I said, it's really enjoyable to watch in the end. I enjoy myself so much both times I've seen this film now, and I feel fully invested in the story that's taking place, which I didn't expect to feel as well. Like I said, it's a story about two kids falling in love. It sounds completely unbelievable and quite stupid, and honestly, it doesn't really pique my interest, stuff like that. You know, watching a film about a love story between two kids, it doesn't really sound that great, if I'm being honest, in my opinion. But then, when you sit down and watch a film, it's actually really enjoyable to watch, and it has this fun, charming sense about it that just makes it so much fun to watch. Yes, it's not perfect, and in my opinion, it doesn't have what the best Wes Anderson films do have, which is that big emotional punch, which makes my life in the film go up a bit more. Like, when you look back at the film, you go, oh god, that was a big emotional punch, and it doesn't have that in this film. But saying that, though, it is still really enjoyable to watch. It's still really fun to watch, and honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it both times I've seen it. And in the end, it's a really fun and charming, wonderful film in my opinion. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Moonrise Kingdom is a 7.7 out of 10 for me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Moonrise Kingdom? Please leave a comment down below and know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching. If you haven't yet, please do click down below and like, subscribe on the video, and look forward to many more both film and TV reviews coming very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye!